Today we're going to be using our Americanails Silicone Nail Tech Training Mat. So this is going to be one of the most important tools that you're going to use in the beginning of your nail career. What it's going to assist you with is going to be perfecting your product consistency. It's going to help with multiple skills and competencies. It's also going to protect your desk surface, which let me tell you, when you're using acrylic, that's going to be so important, and it's super easy to use. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and begin practicing on our training mat. So here's a quick tip for when you're pouring your sculpting liquid, and this will almost ensure that you'll never spill another drop of monomer again. You're gonna wanna place your brush in the dabbing dish and then pour the liquid starting from the ferrule down, and there you go. We're going to begin with our 3 different bead sizes. Right here on this first bead, this is going to be your largest bead and the first bead that you're going to apply on a nail extension when you're doing nails. This is your second and medium bead, and this is your third and small bead. This bead is going to be towards the cuticle, and your medium bead is going to be more in like the middle of your nail, and it's also going to help you build an apex. To pick up the perfect bead, you're going to want to dip your brush into your dabbing dish. You're going to gently press it down at the bottom of the container to remove any air bubbles. And for your large bead, you're going to only brush the tip of the brush against the dabbing dish to remove any excess monomer. You're going to gently place your brush into your powder, drag it towards you. Before placing it down, you're going to have it polymerize just for a little bit, and then place it into your circle. Now, to know that your bead was perfect in consistency, it's not going to run out of the circle in any way. As it polymerizes, it's going to keep its shape and stay in the lines. For your second bead, which is going to be your medium bead, you're going to want to repeat the same steps, removing the air bubbles from your brush by gently rubbing it against the dabbing dish. You're going to want to swipe your brush against your dabbing dish, starting from the middle of your bristles to remove any excess liquid. Once again, gently drag your brush in your powder towards you. You're going to wait a few seconds for it to polymerize or turn smooth before placing it into your circle. And then your acrylic should fill the circle perfectly. It should not fall out. It should not be running all over the place. Because if it is, that's how you're going to know if you have too much liquid in your brush, too little liquid in your brush, based on the size, the runniness of your bead. So going in with a small bead, you're going to want to wipe the excess off of the brush, starting from the ferrule all the way down to the tip, to remove as much liquid as you can while still being able to pick up a small bead. You're going to drag your brush in your powder just for a little bit to get as small a bead as you can. Wait for it to turn smooth, and then you're going to place it down. It should not be spilling out of the circle at all. And if it does, just so you know, we do have the rest of the sheet here for you to keep on practicing. And hopefully as you get to the end of the sheet, you will have your perfect size beads. All right, so going back to pick up our first bead, which is going to be the largest bead that we're going to place on the nail. We're going to remove the air bubbles from our brush by gently pressing it against our dabbing dish, Remove your excess liquid starting from the tip of the brush only, and that way you can ensure that you're picking up a large bead. Gently drag your brush and your powder towards you. You're going to wait just a tad bit for it to polymerize or turn smooth before placing it down. And then you're going to place it into your circle. Now, your bead should be filling your circle without overflowing, running all over the place. It shouldn't be, standing straight up. The purpose of this mat is to help you guys with consistency in your sizing and your shape of the bead. So basically every single time that you're going to do a large bead, your goal is to get the same one every time to eventually help you with speed and just a perfect application all around. So going in with your medium bead, you're going to repeat the same steps. Remove your air bubbles from the brush. Remove your excess liquid. For your medium bead, you're going to want to start at the middle of the brush. Gently drag your brush into your powder. Here's our medium bead. Wait a few seconds for it to polymerize and then place it down. And like I said, it should not be spilling out of your circle, and it should fill it up perfectly. And if you don't get it the first time, that's perfectly fine. Just keep on practicing. And for your final bead, you're going to want to remove the excess liquid starting from the ferrule of your brush all the way down to the tip, and then dragging it just for a few seconds to get that perfect small bead. Here you go. Wait a few seconds for it to polymerize, and then you're going to place it down. And make sure you're wiping your brush in between, because you do not want acrylic stuck in your brush at all. And there you have it, guys. Just go ahead and keep on practicing. Alright guys, so going in for the second part of our sheet, we're going to be practicing pink and white, or what we now know as acrylic French. So after you've removed the air bubbles from your brush, we're going to go ahead and get about a decent size of our DuraPro sculpting powder in whiter white. Region 1. Make sure you're cleaning your brush as soon as you place your bead down. And I'm going to go in and shape that little crescent moon area just by swiveling my brush. This is going to ensure that our corners are perfect and we have that perfect crescent area. Then I'm going to go in and pat my acrylic just to ensure that we have perfect coverage on our nail. And we're going to shape our sides and our free edge right after. So going in with our second bead, we're going to be using soft pink from the DuraPro collection as well. After your bead has polymerized, go ahead and put it down in region number 2. And you're just going to want to blend the back of that bead right above that dotted line, so you ensure that it's flat, and when you add your cuticle bead, it blends seamlessly. And then, just like the instructions right above here on our mat says, after we've put our bead down, we're going to pat it. Make sure you're constantly shaping the side of your nails. And after you've patted it, you're going to swipe it into place so that it blends. Now, if your pink blends over your white, that's perfectly fine, because just after you've applied all of your acrylic, when you're dealing with your client, you're going to go in with your e-file and you're going to blend this in so that you have the perfect transition between your pink and your white anyway. So you can go ahead and swipe your pink over that white. Going in with our third bead, remember your cuticle bead is always going to want to be your smallest bead, because you do not want to flood the cuticle, as that'll cause lifting. And just overall, you'll end up with a pretty bulky nail. So we're going to go ahead and place that bead down. You're going to want to gently blend the back of that bead so that it is flush. You're going to pat it to cover the surface of the nail, and then you're going to swipe it into place. And by now you've probably noticed that your mat has been bubbling just a little bit. That's perfectly normal. I wouldn't worry about that too much. After you finish using your mat, you can just go ahead and with some acetone and clean it off, and it'll return back to its regular shape. All right, guys, so for our fourth and final bead, this is going to be the most important bead on your nail. So this bead is going to be our apex bead. Most of you would have already known that your apex bead is the strength of your nail. It pretty much just absorbs any shock. So if you were to hit your nail, the highest point of your nail is going to absorb all that shock. That way you don't damage your nail bed in any way. So we're going to go in with a small to medium bead. You're going to place it right over that dotted line. Put mine a little bit too far back. And then we're going to do exactly what we did on our other two soft pink beads. We're going to blend the edge of that. Then we're going to gently pat it. And then we're going to go ahead and swipe to blend. Just swiping the rest of the nail just to ensure that it's all smooth. And I want to make sure you keep the shape of your nail at all times. And after you've applied your apex bead, if you're doing this on a client, you're just going to want to go ahead and follow the 12 steps for your prep and sculpt. Is going to be in the bottom right of your sheet, just in case you forgot. It's kind of like a little cheat sheet on what to do before and after application. Going directly in on our almond shaped nail, we're going to use the middle one. And we're going to practice our 3 bead method. So going in with our largest bead, you're going to want to repeat the same steps as usual. Remove the air bubbles from your brush. And then swipe the brush at the edge of the dish. And for your large bead, you're just going to swipe from the tip of your brush. Going in with our largest bead, we're going to place it centered. You're going to blend the edge of that bead. If your acrylic is spilling out, you're just going to want to go ahead and gently pat it back into place. You're going to gently pat your acrylic all the way down to the edge of your nail. And then just as the mat directs, you're going to swipe it and smooth out that acrylic. Going in with our second bead, which is going to be our medium bead. Once again, remove your air bubbles and your excess liquid. And place it right above that first bead. Wipe your brush clean. We're going to blend the edge of that bead. Pat it to ensure that you cover the entire nail with acrylic. You don't want any empty spots. And then you're going to swipe it to blend it in to that first bead. Make sure you wipe the edge of your nail so that your shape is still intact. And that way you won't have as much filing to do. Now going in with your final bead, this is going to be your cuticle bead. And just like we did earlier, this is going to be your smallest bead. Now with your cuticle bead, you never want to apply it directly to the cuticle. You're going to want to apply it a little bit in front of the cuticle area. Clean your brush and then gently blend it into the cuticle area. That way you don't flood the cuticle, which will cause lifting, and you have a really flush application. So just like before, you're going to pat it into place. I'm just making sure it's really flat, and then I'm going to swipe it. And just like that, guys, you have your 3-bead application on an almond nail. Really quickly, guys, I just wanted to show you all how easy it is to just remove your acrylic once you're done with it. Literally, that's it. Just pop it off. Boop. All right, so after you've removed all of the acrylic from your sheet, you're just gonna wanna go in with a lint-free wipe and 100% acetone, and you're just gonna wanna wipe your mat clean. And after we've cleaned your mat, you're gonna wanna roll it up gently, and you're always going to want to leave your mat rolled or flat on your surface. You never want to have it folded or it'll leave a crease in your mat.